I'm going to ask you, Bill, let's make the world a better place today. Tell us what you know about human nature.
Experience is the greatest teacher, right? You make. I had to make a lot of mistakes to succeed. When you're young and you don't have a lot, you tend not to look over your shoulder too much because you don't have a whole lot to lose.
Sure.
But because you are a little more careless when you're younger, like most people, you take more chances and you learn. What not to do, what to do, and then somewhere along the line you find a couple of quality mentors, which I've had over the years. But I think what's taught me most about human nature, to be honest with you, is I've been fortunate enough to operate in many different areas of the country.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And today's guest, well, he's an OG in the automotive industry. He's been selling cars since 1983, and he began a career that landed him in some of the most successful dealerships in the country. Bill, am I saying it, Camastro?
That is correct. Good on the first try.
Bill Camastro has spent over 40 years mastering the automotive industry. He's been a dealer principal. He's been a platform vice president at several of, some of the largest public auto groups out there, and now serves as dealer partner at Gold Coast Cadillac, which is part of the Sarah Automotive.
That is correct.
And one of the top performing Cadillac stores in the country. And he's won several awards. From Cadillac Dealer of the Year, Toyota, he's won the President's Award, Lexus, Elite of Lexus, and Chrysler 5-star. He has a reputation for hands-on leadership and mentoring. Bill brings a wealth of knowledge on business leadership and long-term success. Bill, welcome to the show. We're fired up to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Travis, and thank you for the invite. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Super happy to have you. So I've been testing this out lately, starting off the podcast with a quote, and I'll tell you why I chose this quote, but here it is. Men are moved by two levers only: fear and self-interest. Have you heard that quote before?
No, but I've heard quotes like it, and I don't necessarily disagree with it either.
Okay. That one was said by Napoleon Bonaparte. And so the reason why I asked that question is for everyone who's listening out there. Before, Bill hopped on the podcast, I sent him a few questions to answer for me. And one question I asked was, what is one thing that you know that if the whole world knew, it would be a better place? And Bill's response was human nature. He understands how people think. So in that spirit, I chose that quote. And I'm going to ask you, Bill, let's make the world a better place today. Tell us what you know about human nature.
Well, experience is the greatest teacher, right? You make. I had to make a lot of mistakes to succeed. When you're young and you don't have a lot, you tend not to look over your shoulder too much because you don't have a whole lot to lose.
Sure.
But because you are a little more careless when you're younger, like most people, you take more chances and you learn. What not to do, what to do. And then somewhere along the line, you find a couple of quality mentors, which I've had over the years. But I think what's taught me most about human nature, to be honest with you, is I've been fortunate enough to operate in many different areas of the country with public companies, with private companies. We became very good friends and worked with some of the some people that are considered iconic in our business, like Roger Penske. Worked for Wayne Huizinga. I worked at Group One. Herb Chambers, who sold his organization to Asbury. Asbury's run by David Holt, the CEO. I worked with David Holt. And not it doesn't make me the most important person in the world, but I've been fortunate to be around a lot of really good thinkers that have given me a lot of perspective and how people think, what makes them respond, what makes them look the other way. And it's really, really important because not only does it help you with your clientele, what satisfies them, what drives them, but it also helps you with your employees. What drives your employees? What makes them stay with you? I'm fortunate at this point in my career. I have a very steady, long-term employee base overall. I don't have a lot of turnover. The nice thing about not having that turnover is when you want to establish a culture. To establish a culture, you have to have principles and policies and procedures that kind of stand the test of time. Well, if you're constantly changing people, you can't establish a foundation that becomes a culture. So it takes a lot of years to learn that because in the beginning, everybody whether it's the grass is greener, it's all about how you get paid or what benefits you get or how many days you get off. You know, I look for people with character. And of all the things that I was taught over the years, and the hardest thing to digest was, not about hiring somebody's history. Hire them for character. Because they gain experience over time. Not everybody gains, and most people don't gain character over time.
Sure.
And if they're going to, it takes a long time to change who you are, and all of the idiosyncrasies about who you are. So these are the things that I've learned over the years, and they've been very helpful for me. They serve me well.
So what are some red flags that you've seen about people's character when you're judging someone based on their character, right? Which is where you should judge them on,
Yep.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for red flags about someone's character?
Well, first of all, I look for the positives. Tell me about your family. That those are important things.
Okay.
Tell me about how you see things that are important to Gold Coast, for example. And I don't say it in those terms. Or, even when I was a platform VP or I worked for the public companies, simple little things. Is it okay to take $1 out of the cash register if you intend to put it back? Well, the answer to that is no, always. Okay. and simple little things like that, they matter, right? It sounds trite,
Yeah.
goofy, but it really does matter what people's explanations of things like that are. So if you ask simple questions and allow them to elaborate rather than you do all the talking, you learn a lot about people. The red flags, I mean, obviously someone who doesn't stay, who's had multiple jobs and bounced around quite a bit, that's usually a red flag. A red flag would be someone that has worked in multiple places and always found that their manager was an unfair person.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the manager is still at each of those places you left, does it say something more about the manager or more about you?
Yeah.
Another red flag are people that come that try to become employed with you, and then spend their time telling you about, hey, where I came from, here's how we did it. Well, the reality of it is you came from there.
Yeah.
So A, you no longer do it that way, and B, are you trying to inform me how to change my environment to make it convenient for you? Because I'm looking for you to fit into my environment. Some of the other red flags would be when you interview people and their first 4 or 5 questions are about how many days I get off, how many sick days do I get, how much vacation time do I get, what's my schedule going to be, how much money do I make? And if you think about it, and this is an old school value, but when I was growing up, a long time ago, it was to get hired was a reward. It was a goal. You know what I mean? So it was our job to impress upon the employer why we would be a good hire and how we could be productive in the environment. And for whatever reason, in today's society, you see more of the people wanting to know what they can take from your business rather than give to your business. So I would always suggest look for the employee that seeks the answers to your goals and to your productive needs before they worry about their own needs. Not that you don't want to solve their needs, but look, if a person's productive and they produce in your environment, you're going to go. A smart employer would then try to reciprocate by rewarding that by satisfying their needs as well. All good relationships have that pendulum flow back and forth, but it's got to be that way. The pendulum can't go this far this way and only this far this way, because something's going to give eventually. So
No,
that's
that
what.
makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of red flags, easy to tell. These are like you would think like common sense things to look out for, but I bet a lot of people don't look out for them.
Now, they generally speaking, listen, I sold 20 cars a month where I was. Okay, you're hired. A lot. That happens a lot. I'm a closer as a manager, and they get hired. Our business. This is a business. It's a very complex business, but it's a big business. It's a complex business that really should look at people as: is this a good business person that happens to sell cars and can fit into my business? Versus this person sells a lot of cars. I'm going to put up with their idiosyncrasies no matter what, because that can be toxic to your environment, and it usually is.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're giving that dude or girl, all the favors because they're a top producer, but they cause you problems everywhere else. Yeah,
100%.
it might not be.
And
Juice might,
I've had that. Even in my current environment, as good as it is, it does happen from time to time because they're
yeah.
let interview very well. They answer all the questions right, give you all the information you want to hear, or they know your reputation is to hire for characters, so they bring this big box of character with them. They lay it on your desk, and then they turn back into who they are in 6 months. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
So what do you do when you identify, like I guess we're talking about hiring at this point. So when you hear somebody who you think is telling you everything that you just want to hear,
Mm-hmm.
do you hire that person, or do you move on, or how do you handle that situation when you get an inkling like, man, this guy's just acing everything, like I feel like he just knows what I want to hear?
Right.
Is he
Well,
just a kiss?
I don't ever hire anybody in one interview, which, unfortunately, in automotive industry has been one of our stigmas. Right.
Yeah,
Grab him
yeah.
quickly. He's going to go to work someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
That person, if that person is going to go someplace else, if you don't hire them on the spot, they're going to be looking for someplace else while they're working for you eventually anyway.
Yeah.
And you have to know that on the way in. They need to know it's a privilege to come to work for you or you're in your environment. They have to see it that way. If they don't see it that way, it's probably not going to be a good hire. Now, the person that comes in and aces everything, gives you all the answers like they were coached on the way in.
Mm-hmm.
If I see a person that hits the nail so dead on the head, then I'm going to put some questions to them. I'm going to test them a little bit, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask them how they would handle certain situations. I'll describe certain situations to them, and I'll probably push them a little bit out of their comfort zone into areas that we haven't talked about that they wouldn't be able to rehearse for,
Okay.
and see how they respond to those things. And nothing in specific, but
Yeah.
it would make me, hey, listen, great candidate, says everything right. But one of the things that I generally do, which is very helpful, is I have a very pre-printed job description, and I put it in front of people, and I tell them up front, look, this is what you will earn if you do an excellent job in this job. If you do a good job, if you do a fair job, if you do a poor job, this is what you're going to earn. Okay, this is what this will approximate to.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I'm paying you this to do 100% of these things, to fulfill this job description 100%. I'm not paying you this to get here and decide which of these you like and which of these you don't. I'm paying you to do all of it. So if we go down the road 3 months and it comes to pass that you decide, well, I'm not going to, let's pick a salesperson as an example. I'm not really interested in doing a walk around, or I'm not going to put a dealer plate on the car when I go for a demo, any of that stuff. Or I'm not going to use the word tracks that I'm asked to use. I'm not going to use the documentation that I'm asked to use. If we get to that point, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to look for you to tell me how much less you're willing to make that equates to what it is you're willing to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I spell it out up front. It usually drives away the non-committed people.
Yeah.
Before the second interview, those people usually peel off and they don't come back because they know I mean business, because I do. This is a business. This is not a social club. It's not a dating scene. It's not a playground. It's
Mm-hmm.
business. This is how people earn their living. And I have a
Yeah.
responsibility to the people that really want to do it right and not allow someone who's going to pick and choose what they're willing to do to infect that environment.
Wow. Well, guys, if you didn't learn a lot from that little segment right there, I think I learned something right there, honestly, too, just about hiring people in general. I like it. I really admire what you just said there. That's very, very smart stuff. Um, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, because I know you're just full of good information to share with everybody. So let's shift the focus from on hiring people to psychology and human nature around buying
Mm-hmm.
customers.
Yep.
What have you learned over the years about human nature and buying cars?
Well, obviously the biggest change is the internet
Yeah.
readily available, right? So years
Mm-hmm.
ago, if you had an ad in a newspaper on a particular car, customer would call in, um, and customers would call in, and if you had the car that was in the ad, they'd come in, and if you honored the deal, they'd buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was also a great premium on bait and switch back in the old days because CSI wasn't an issue, right? So you put an ad in the paper to, a price leader, as they were called. People would walk in and you'd fight the battle with them, and you'd both, if I could, would you, for half an hour until you made a car deal, until the customer got mad enough to walk out. But that was the car business back in those days. I don't subscribe to it, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
Today, because the information is so readily available to people, it's become more important to understand the information that the customer has, to be able to sell with a certain level of transparency. Because if you can't be transparent and you can't convey that to the customer, your levels of transparency, you won't ever see the customer. And the key today, really, most of all, years ago, people would dial in on a phone, right? There was no internet, there was no text messaging, there's no emails. So if you answered the phone and you had the car, your chances were good if they came in, you're going to sell a car. It was that simple.
Yeah.
Today, because of the internet and all the various sites customers can go to, and text messaging and voice chat and everything else, AI and everything else that's going on, there's several different layers. The customers are several different layers removed from us, from where they were years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can press a button and talk to 3 different dealers at the same time now. They can pit the dealers against each other. So really, what is the most powerful thing a dealer can learn how to do in that environment? The most powerful thing we can do is to be credible. When I say credible, it doesn't mean you have to tell them everything about everything under the sun. It doesn't mean you have to tell them what you own your products for, because they probably wouldn't believe you anyway. What it means is deliver on what you say. When you say something, make sure you validate what you're asking the customer to pay with the value they're going to get for that dollar. Make sure you match the customer, and this is key. Save them time, and make sure you match up their wants and needs as accurately as you can, so that you come across like a professional that's actually personalized the process to the customer. If you're able to do that, then the pressure on price becomes a little less impactful.
Well, you're saying some stuff that I preach to dealerships that I work with is, and when I'm talking to salespeople, is getting to know your customer and asking the right questions to understand their situation. Because if you're selling to their situation, then it makes it a lot more personalized of an experience, and they probably are more likely to buy from you because you understand, like, hey, this is your first car, second car, third car, last one got stolen, last one was totaled, whatever it is.
Right.
The more you understand their situation, I think the better chance you have, and you can be transparent with them, like you said.
100%. 100%.
So human nature, yeah, it definitely has changed. Have you seen? Before the podcast, I was researching a little bit. I was checking out automotive news and just kind of browsing around looking for stuff to talk about. Have you seen Amazon Autos? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest Hyundai's
Yeah.
biggest their biggest partner right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I there will come a day. There will come a day when the customers will doubt the credibility of that as well.
Yeah.
Just like, and I'll give you an example. Amazon is just another form of a DRP. So
define DRP for us.
A digital retailing platform that most dealers have on their website now.
Yeah.
So here's what's happened. During COVID, the DRP became a thing because no one could walk into a dealership, and you can get your customers, hopefully, to go online and build their own car and agree to buy and send you touchless. The big catchphrase during COVID was frictionless. Right? There's no such thing as frictionless. If you do a little research in physics, you'll understand there's no such thing. Reducing friction, yes. What creates friction? Excuse my language, bullshit, money games, and wasting people's time. Those are the 3 things that create friction.
Agreed.
If you can make their time value added, if you don't lie to the customer, and you don't play games with them, they will not feel like their time has been wasted. You could spend 30 seconds with a customer, and it'll seem like an eternity if you are doing those 3 things. Spend 2 hours with a customer, with a good agent relationship and a solid connection and make it value added, and it'll seem like the time flew by. So at the end of the day, and as I said before, it doesn't mean that you have to give them information that they should not be privy to.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you sell a car to a customer or you sell a house to a consumer, the customers believe you're making money no matter what price you sell it to them for. They believe, okay? And that's fine. So they believe that. Well, then human nature should tell us, if they believe that, and that's their human nature, then our human nature should be not to even go there. Well, it's $200 above my cost, $300 below my cost. They don't believe you. They don't care. Okay? How does that relate to the market? And more importantly, how does it relate to the personalized experience, budget, and personalized product match for the customer? The more you can personalize the experience digitally, on the phone, in person, and you match the wants and needs of the customer to the product they're going to buy or lease. And as we say in our environment, if we can come close to what you've described, you'd have to at least consider the lease or purchase of a vehicle, wouldn't you? And most people say yes. And right after they respond to that, we tell them, by the way, if I can't do that, you shouldn't. Because you know what human nature is? Human nature for 99% of the population is, hey, listen, if this guy's willing to tell me if I might consider buying a car if he can do exactly what I'm asking him to do, but he's also telling me not to buy from him if he can't do that, I'm willing to open up and listen to what this man has to say, because he's being fair.
Yeah.
It's a first statement in being fair, and it's opening the door to the customer. Hey, listen, if this process doesn't work for you, you let me know at any point in time, because I want to make sure I do my job right. That you gain instant credibility with people when you do that. But when you do that, now you got to deliver on that credibility. You need to explain to the customer that the reason why you're asking them what's the most they have budgeted to pay cash for a vehicle, the most they have budgeted to make a payment on the car, where they're choosing to go, is because I want to make sure I don't spend an hour or two of your time showing you something that you ultimately won't buy, or even more importantly, can't buy. I want to make sure I tailor it to your wants and needs financially and personally. And if I do that well, my chances are better that I complete a sale with you, and your chances are better that you buy or lease a vehicle and take delivery of it.
Yeah.
So we both accomplish our goal if we do it right. And again, I'm doing this for 40 years. I probably can deliver that message pretty well.
Yeah. No, you're very good at it.
My job is to help my people deliver it well. Because if I'm the only person delivering that well, I have to sell all of the cars. And that's not realistic. But I think I can make enough of an impression. And so far, I've been successful getting people to see that delivery and that transparency does work, because it does.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you put things very, very well. And that kind of leads me to, one of my next things. If we have other dealers out there who are listening to this episode right now, and, we're talking about human nature, like how do they effectively teach that to their sales team? What methodologies are you doing to build this, knowledge base and culture in your dealership?
Well, I'm going to show you. Sit right there for a second.
All right.
So I have several of these. This is our customer experience manual for here. It's thick.
Okay.
It's
huge.
But that also is all policies and procedures for all departments. Everybody has copies. Everybody signs a copy. All the people in each department sign a copy, and the copy they sign goes back in this manual.
Your binder there. So guys, he's got this 3-ring binder. It's like 3-4 inches thick, and it's filled to the brim.
It's got everything too, and it's got, I'm sorry to take up all the time on this, but it'll have all of our policies and procedures, including compensation plans, how to handle certain customers, and a lot of the policies that we have. As I said, I'll give you one example, and I'll put the book down. This is the pre-employment process, and you can see the signatures from the managers on the bottom, so they'll follow the pre-employment process. And it's just a way of reminding them that they've made the commitment to that process. And you can't just stop there. You have to kind of repeat it, bring it up, kind of monitor it during the actual process taking place. So we're very focused on that in all areas of our business. Doesn't mean we're perfect 100% of the time, but what I've learned is if you stay firm with it, you'll do it a much higher percentage of the time than your competition, and you'll win a much higher percentage of the time than your competition. And for that
Yeah.
reason, we have. Doesn't mean we can't have a bad day. Doesn't mean we can't have a bad week. But generally speaking, because of that, we recover very well. We don't have elongated periods of darkness in our world.
So to recap for everybody listening, just to kind of bring that thought full circle here, if you're trying to teach your salespeople how to develop this culture around, customer first, which is what's on your binder there, you have everybody basically sign off on a mission statement with how you handle things and what you guys believe, and then you're reinforcing that. So they've committed in writing that I want to abide by this, and then they've also get reinforced through training and experience. What are the first metrics that you're looking at every month before everything else, every week, or how often you get this report?
Average cost of labor, policy, percentage of expense to gross profit, percentage of net to sales, and percentage of net to gross. I start there and work my way backwards.
Why those numbers?
If those numbers line up, then it's about how many transactions that we need to do. If those numbers don't line up, I have to look inside those numbers and start working my way backwards to find out where the inequities are. Everything based, not that I'm always right, but we're in a business where people did things by feel, and dealers operated out of a suitcase or a little whatever for years.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to be in the public environment for 20 years. So emblazoned in my head by force, not because I'm the smartest guy in the world, are the proper operating metrics and percentages by department, by category. And if I'm out of whack on those percentages, I want to look there first, because once you get involved with the people and once you get involved with compensation and the environment, it's very easy, not for me at this point, but it's very easy for the average person to get swayed by all of those, movements and people.
Yeah.
The proverbial, if you change my pay plan, I'm leaving right now. So when I entered in an environment, I'd always get a little bit of that. And I hate to say this, but my first reaction to people was, well, if you're giving me an ultimatum right now, I can hold the door for you. You let me know what you want to do. And
said that line a few times.
And you have to be able to say that. If you're not, if they punch you in the nose on the way in the door, you didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
Punch you on the nose on the way in the door. They're not. You can't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So once we get past that initial phase, I make it clear to people before I start to understand people's stories. They know the environment's not working. They just don't want it to affect them when you make change.
Sure.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
I let people know. I usually gather everybody together, which I did here as well 6 years ago. And this was the number one volume store in the country, but it wasn't making any money. We've done. I'd give you the numbers, but I can tell you in the last 5 years, it's well north net of $30 million. So my point is, you sit everybody down, and everybody that works in that environment, everybody gets a paycheck. You say, look, here's how we're going to do things. Here's your role in it. The only two choices you have are to do this or to do it someplace else. Those are your two choices. And leave it at that. And my door's open. You're welcome to come in and talk to me if you'd like. Welcome. This is not personal. But I didn't become the operating partner just to hang on to the strap and watch the Titanic go down while I drown. That's not what I'm going to do.
Yeah, they wouldn't have brought you in.
And maybe some of you won't be here in the end because you'll think your own personal comfort level has been invaded. But what will your comfort level be if the business doesn't exist?
Yeah, you'll be looking for a job elsewhere anyway.
Anyway, right. So do you want to participate? Continue to participate in the problem, or do you want to participate in the solution?
Yeah.
And if you
Fair enough.
participate in the solution, I can assure you, you'll be happy you did. And I can tell you, the people that are here today that were here in the beginning, almost they're all making more money. But I mean, I have people, literally people that work here that are making 3 times what they made before, because all of my managers were promoted from salespeople on up to where they're at. Every
Mm,
person that works in this environment, except for one, my controller, every single person was promoted into their position, and they all
nice.
make significantly more money. And for that reason, it gives us a lot of staying power and almost zero turnover. So, but just to finish the comment on what do I do when I first walk into an environment, I want to identify financially what's not right.
Yeah.
Then I want to identify policy and procedurally what's making it financially not right. And then I want to, and I also, in a very in depth level, explain the metrics to the people in those individual departments. So before you tell me if I change your pay plan, you're leaving, let me show you why what you're doing doesn't work and why
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to worry about that unless you're prepared to change. Your department's losing X amount of dollars or it's underperforming. This needs to change.
Yeah.
And you and I are going to make that change. Or you and me and somebody else are going to make that change. Which way do you need
There's
to go?
being a change that's going to be made.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave it like it is because it can't stay that way.
Yeah.
So,
Fair
and
enough.
look, you lose in the beginning. You may lose 1 or 2 people, but not as many as you might think. And look, at the end of the day, the way you lay it out for people, and your conviction, and your explanation, and your education on the issues, the easiest question to ask anybody is: Look, you know your department's losing money. You know the dealership's losing money. If it was your money and you were watching a pile of your own cash burn, what would you do? Oh, I'd put it out. Well, funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because
That's
there's a
what I'm here
pile
to
of
do.
burning in your department. How do you suggest we put it out?
Yeah.
And they almost always say the same thing. We need to make changes. I agree with you. We need to make changes. Now, here's the 2 changes we can make. We can make the change with the person who runs the department, or we can make a change with how the person that runs the department runs the department. Which one do you think works best for you? They have to. They can't avoid the question.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So
No, you're good. I like it. I like you. I think you'd be a good person to work for, honestly. I mean,
if your goals are to be mediocre, I'm a terrible person to work for.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
terrible.
yeah, no, it
If
doesn't sound like you're a mediocre guy.
if you want to win, and you want to buy nice things for your wife or husband or your kids or go on nice vacations, if you're with me a year, 2 years, you'll achieve all those goals. But one thing I do know: if you set your goals low enough in life, you'll achieve every one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at
So,
the end of the day, I want to be my job is to be as charismatic as I am driven.
yeah,
One day I hope to accomplish that.
I think you're getting closer. Getting closer.
I'm going to keep trying.
So we'll wrap this up here pretty quick. I got a few rapid fire questions for
Good.
you. What's your favorite department in the dealership?
Favorite department in the dealership? That would be used cars. For
Used cars.
Because
Okay.
used cars wraps everything else into it. The shop for
Okay.
on F&I is important. I mean, they're all important.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my favorite because it requires, thinking. We know the
Okay.
cost on a new car. The cost on a used car, that's arbitrary.
Sure.
So it takes a little bit more work. And I
You like the work.
that if you're smart and you're creative, and you use a strategy, it's not like the new car environment where there's a new car dealership every 10 miles and everybody's got the same cost, everybody's got the same retail, and it's a race to the bottom. I hate that. Used cars is
What's your
different. Used cars is different, and I love it for that reason.
So if you were a used car dealer, obviously that market, like you said, it's very arbitrary as far as
Yep.
what the value is. You're trying to separate yourself from the competition in the market. What are you doing to do that?
We
you
have a
know?
30-day one price strategy on used, and we mark that we price the cars at the middle, or, which is the exact word track we give to the customers too, by the way.
Okay.
We price our cars middle to the low end on the market retail.
Okay.
We're a one price store. We like to take the tasteless negotiation out of the process. And we do not negotiate in cars that are 30 days or less because we know if you came to us, we know why you came to us.
Hmm.
Because our cars are priced fair, because the Carfax is what it is. And you wouldn't have, and this is for all the dealers out there. If a customer calls you on one of your used cars or sends in a lead, they've already decided it's the right car for them.
Yeah.
Okay? They've already expressed, that's the car I want. I'm okay with the miles. I saw the Carfax. Use your heads. Use your heads. It doesn't need to be a race to the bottom at that point. If you're priced fairly to market, sell the car for its value because the customer already sees that value. They may play ignorant and try to make it about price, but at the end of the day, you can turn right back to them and say, listen, you've looked on the internet, so you know that our price is fair. I mean, I understand negotiating just for the sake of negotiation, but we've taken the tasteless negotiation out of the price by putting our car on the money from the beginning, so we don't have to go through that for you and for us.
Fair enough.
I,
Least favorite department.
I'm a really good salesperson, I will say that,
Yeah, you are.
but I don't deal from a position. Excuse my everybody that's watching.
Yeah. What's your least favorite department?
My least favorite department. I would say it's not a department. I would say it's a category.
Okay.
Um, Advertising.
Advertising. Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because no matter what you put out there, no matter what, someone's going to try to sell it for $1 less on the internet, right?
Yeah.
So it's my least favorite, but it's something that you do. I mean, listen. I'm okay brushing my teeth. Um, I hate having to trim my mustache. I hate, right? But I got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be tidy. I get it. I get
Got to
it.
finish.
Okay.
You got to finish what you start at all corners. So advertising is my least favorite. I do it, and I do it. I think we do a pretty decent job with it. But it's a challenge to be transparent when other people are just, you know,
Yeah.
throwing it here for free.
All right. So I got three, four more questions for you, and these are just kind of based around, what I do, which is I work with dealerships and I help them make more money on vehicles through F&I products, that sort of stuff. So these are just, I'd like to know your opinion on them. So for dealers out there listening, and I know that you guys are part of a big group, but you've been in the industry long enough to understand all this stuff.
Sure.
How important do you think reinsurance is to, a new franchise dealership?
I think if done right,
Mm-hmm.
it's good if you do it right. And my opinion of right is, of course, my opinion.
Sure.
My right is to be self insured, to make sure your actuarials are very, very sound, so you don't lose more money than you make.
Yeah.
But I would also make sure that you self administer anything over a certain dollar amount, so you can keep people honest, that you're not
Yeah.
reselling cars under warranty,
Yeah.
that advisors aren't taking advantage of the fact that, because they'll find out eventually it's your product. There's no way
Yeah.
to hide that. And self-administer any claims over a certain dollar amount. For me, it's anything over $300, which is a very low number. So I look at a lot of claims,
Yeah, definitely.
but I want to see the claims more to see if I have 5 advisors. If the same name pops up over and over and over again, looking for approval, I want to see that. If
Yeah.
the same number pops up over and over again, as every other car needs an engine, every other car needs a transmission. Meanwhile, all the other claims are for $200 and $300 amounts. I want to see that.
Yeah. What's up with this guy? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
What about,
at least worth taking a look.
yeah. Okay. What about if you were an independent car dealership, what do you think about reinsurance for independent dealers?
I still think it's a great way to go. I mean, I still think but I still think, in that case, you should, reinsure, particularly as an independent, because if you're in a pool, as an example, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're in a pool, your, loss ratios will be based on everybody in that pool,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So if you run a squeaky clean business and 5 of the 10 dealers you're in a pool with don't, you're still paying their claims.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
So I don't know that I would be a fan of that. I've never had. I've been in I've been in reinsurance business forever. So
Yeah.
and we do well with it. Um, but
Okay.
I'm not really interested in paying my claims based on what you're paying yours for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Honestly, I think if you're gonna do it, you do it on your own. If you can do it on your own. Okay. What products would you say are most important to offer in the F&I department? Obviously, BSC.
PSC comes first because
Yeah.
that's the most valuated product you can sell a customer.
Sure.
It ties the customer to the dealership. It's the largest expense. It covers the largest expense items, and obviously VSCs, especially when you're selling them on new, that's your most important product. VSC on new cars
Yes.
because that's money that's seeded. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
claims ratios in the beginning are extremely low on new.
Yep.
On used, they tend to be higher in the beginning because you don't know what's wrong with the car until you know what's wrong with the car, right? No matter how you condition it. And you need that new car VSC business to offset your claims, especially in the beginning, because you don't want to go upside down in 60 days,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Because there's
I've seen it happen. If you
well,
don't.
and is it because you get too aggressive in the beginning? I mean, what I did was I let the actuarials from the company I do business from the administration arm put together the cost basis, and then I added 10% to the cost basis myself
Mm-hmm.
on
Smart
top,
move.
and that goes into the reserve pool because I don't want to be in a position where you know and I made some changes to segregate out like shocks and struts on Escalades. We were getting killed in that for a long time, so I separated that out as a surcharge if you want to do that because a lot of extended warranties don't cover shocks and struts.
Yeah.
We will, but you have to pay a premium to. It's like adding on hurricane insurance to your homeowner's insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because on an Escalade, eventually you're going to get shocks and struts at about 60,000 miles.
Yeah.
So if you're going to sell an extended warranty on a 50,000-mile Escalade, you're going to be seeing these people relatively soon.
Yeah. No,
So
definitely.
having
So
that flexibility as an independent, I think is much more important than if you're in a pool. Because if you're in a pool, you don't have that flexibility.
yeah. So besides VSC, what do you guys offer there? Like what would you say are the
We
top
sell
two or
tire,
three?
tire and wheel. We sell maintenance. We sell gap.
Okay.
We sell complete care. Obviously, we sell ding and dent. We sell key replacement. We literally sell
Oh,
everything.
all the major stuff. Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yep.
All right. Do you guys? What's your stance on like non-cancelables or no chargebacks? Like a paint and fabric product and stuff like that. Do you guys participate in those types of products?
Yeah, we do. We do. And look, I know that the mentality for many, many years was no matter what you sell them, make sure you get paint protection and dump all the gross profit in there because they can't charge it back.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, that all that does is open up the door to poor practice in the F&I department.
Yeah.
Right? You may think you're winning by doing that, but in the end, you're going to, when all you need is a couple of customers to wake up and realize, well, suppose you dump all the profit into the paint protection, and the customer decides they want to cancel the VSC
Mm-hmm.
separately.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
then what do you?
Yeah. But yeah. So
Now,
you're gonna get some heat for sure, or
well,
maybe
you
you're
told
gonna have
me
to.
it was $4,000 for the extended warranty. I want my $4,000 back.
Yeah.
So you're really just opening up Pandora's box by doing it that way. I think in the end, I don't want to. I want to sell the most valuated products possible. VSC is always number one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the day comes to an end, I like them to sell everything. But we have their pay plans are designed at 40% VSC product penetration as kind of like the benchmark.
Baseline. Yeah.
Yeah, and then maintenance at 30 or 35%, and then all the ancillary products at 20% or better. And we bonus our people at a product penetration of 1.5 products per customer and north. They make bonus commissions.
Yeah. That's fair. That's
Yep.
fair. Cool. And last question I'll ask you: what's your stance on preload products? You guys, what are your
Not
thoughts on that?
not a fan.
Not a fan. Yeah. Just
I think
depends.
honestly, I think preload products, all that really does at the end of the day is weaken the selling skills of your people.
Hmm. How do you
That's my
mean?
hard accessories in cars.
Yeah.
To an extent, but I don't want to jam hard accessories just to get the accessory sale. I want to sell the car,
Yeah.
and then sell the accessories on top of that. And I want my F&I department right now is at $2,200 a copy, which is a decent job. We've been higher than that,
Hmm.
but we're almost at 1.5, 1.6 almost every month.
Yeah.
And I have two really solid people in there, but I'm not a fan of. Excuse me. I'm not a fan of watering down the process
Yeah.
by practicing nothing but free throws and layups all day.
Good.
Nobody wins a championship like that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Okay. Well, Bill, I appreciate the conversation, and it's been honestly, I really, really enjoyed talking to you. It's been a
I
very,
did as well. I did
very,
as well.
very good podcast, man. Hopefully, guys, I think if you're listening to this podcast, I think you learned a few things. I definitely know that I did. And if you're in the market for a new Cadillac, I think I know where I would go. You should probably go check out
Come
Gold
to me. Make sure you're taken care of.
Coast. Yeah, go up to Gold Coast Cadillac up there in New Jersey. Probably not going to get a hold of Bill. He's probably too busy, nose deep in the numbers and signing checks. He's been he's been multitasking on this podcast, but it's been a pleasure having you on.
You,
Um, thank you very much, Bill. And
no problem.
I'll let you know when this podcast airs. Are you on social media? Where can people follow you?
I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, um, Facebook. I'm there.
You're there?
YouTube, you name it.
Do you know what your usernames are on any of those platforms?
Not off the top of my head because I never really look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, LinkedIn, you can just look me up by name.
Yeah. And it's Bill Camastro. And
Yep,
if you text me your information about where your handles are at, I'll tag you on videos,
sure,
and then
sure.
people can find you there.
That'd be awesome.
So,
That'd be
all right, Bill. Well, thank you for hopping on, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.